this very day, the NES release of TMNT boggles the minds of a vast majority of the fanbase. There's a great deal of mystery and lore locked away deep within the game files. Pulling source material from both the OG Mirage comics as well as the 1987 animated series, a combination of two canons blended together along with a ragtag group of mutant outcasts will leave you questioning just what exactly this is you're playing. The further you venture down this rabbit hole, the crazier shit becomes. Hell, the box art alone speaks to you in riddles. Discovering the full illustration paints a far bigger picture, unfolding to a climactic battle between our Teenage Turtles and an invading Utron army, indicating that these events occurred during an unspecified period within the Mirage timeline. Yet shockingly, there's no trace of the Utrons, or Krang for that matter, in the game. This particular art piece would eventually make its way onto the cover of Mirage Comics, issue number 4. However, for advertisement purposes, it's a questionable choice to go with, making these stored events far more puzzling moving forward. You begin to notice that many of the in-game assets feel out of place as if they were pre-existing concepts at one time, leaving the Turtles feeling like a mere afterthought. There's Mousers and Foot Clan members lurking throughout, but they just feel out of place in comparison to their many new colleagues. Doing a bit of digging, you will find this was common practice on the NES. The first example that comes to mind being Capcom's Yonoid, where localization stateside was drastically altered from its Famicom counterpart, receiving an audio and visual overhaul, along with the Sweet Domino's Pizza campaign that featured this tiny red abomination. This would be a reoccurring trend throughout the 80s, well into the 90s, passing a beloved franchise entry off as something it's clearly not. Circling back around to the Turtles, the Famicom release gives us our very first clue from the start, as the Fami title translates to Legend of the Radical Ninja Turtles, which could arguably make the case that many of these character designs and locations depicted throughout the final build were well established before the Turtles found their way onto the scene. So, still not convinced, huh? Need more proof? Well, things only get more bizarre when taking a closer look at the Famicom manual. On the surface, it's the quintessential Turtle story. Shredder is hell-bent on ending the Turtles once and for all, leading his Foot Clan into a future where their master rules with an iron fist. In the NES canon, Shredder harnesses the power of the Life Transformer gun. For whom or what he uses it on isn't specifically detailed. I'm assuming it ties into the origin story of Splinter and the Turtles. It's essentially the equivalent of the retro mutagen ray gun, only in this timeline, it's capable of returning Splinter to his human form. Speaking of Splinter, he apparently has a daughter going by the name April. Wait, you mean April as in the April? April O'Neil? Well, yeah. In fact, this entire plot revolves around the Shredder making Splinter's life a living hell, now charged with turning his age-old rival into a sewer-dwelling rat, only to further succeed in abducting his daughter shortly after. In this timeline, Shredder dons his infamous red Foot Clan attire, accompanied by his old Mirage fraternity brothers. He's further aided by the all-new Bebop and Rocksteady of the animated series. Essentially, we are in the Turtles multiverse here, folks, and things get even more batshit crazy the moment you discover the many new mutants that roam these sewers. They're quite otherworldly, as if they too found some sort of way to cross over to these unparalleled events. Regardless of these circumstances, the Turtles jump into action, hot on the heels of the Shredhead, looking to rescue April and put an end to the Foot Clan, whom are currently running amok through the windy streets of New York City. Although the world of the Turtles may have been flipped on its head, the execution throughout this 8-bit venture is every bit up to snuff. This is Konami, by the way, and if you grew up prior to the era of fecal-filled game reviews, you're gonna discover quickly that with or without the Turtles license attached here, this was quite an ambitious title for the NES in '89. They can try the shit on this all they want, but the fact of the matter is, the NES release of TMNT was box office, hitting the charts running from the jump off. Strap yourselves in, because there's a lot to unpack with this one, but first, we gotta figure out what our 4 Turtle Boys are packing for the ride ahead as we venture into a brand new world. The gameplay of NES Turtles treats us to a well-balanced breakfast to keep us energized throughout, opening to an immersive 8-bit overhead perspective of the mean streets of New York, now yours to explore freely. You'll quickly discover manholes which lead you below, or buildings that double as undercover operations for the Foot. These are your traditional side-scrolling areas that you'll spend a good portion of your journey in. As you roam these various locations, you're given the option to choose one of our 4 hero turtles, each equipped with their signature weapon that, for better or worse, have unique parameters further differentiated by the 4 brothers' primary attributes. Your adventure begins with Leonardo, but you'll soon be shuffling between your three brothers, deciding who's got the right tools to get the job done. While making this decision, you're treated to an overworld map, along with your trusty turtle comm, to reach out to our senpai Splinter, whom pops in on occasion to drop some knowledge on his pupils, aiding their transit across the many scenarios. Each turtle by default rocks their signature weapon, yet the overall speed, strength, and range attached to their individual attributes makes them vital for the many situations presented. Leo is the most balanced of the four. His dual katana blades grants him significant range and power to get you through those high traffic areas where you can easily get overwhelmed with a simple misstep. Raph, in comparison, relies on his sheer speed to deliver a rushdown offense to offset his limited range. Donatello's heavy bow staff makes him the real star of the show. There's nothing he can't master due to his sheer reach and power. The game should just be called Donatello Does Machines, because he literally does so, wrecking anything that draws near his personal bubble. All jokes aside, the real sleeper here is Michelangelo. He's got a solid mid-range game, sporting his chucks, yet what truly sets him apart from the rest of the pack is his courage in combat, dealing significantly more damage the further his health falls towards a critical low. He's not just a party dude, he's the heart and soul of this team. In fact, if you didn't read the manual, you probably would never know about the secret quality he possesses. However, the real meat and potatoes of your arsenal lies in the many sub-weapons you discover throughout your travels. These are acquired in combat, taking out the dreaded Foot Clan, along with the many mutated menaces that resides inside the city. For starters, we have the Shurikens, you know, those tiny throwing stars that come bundled with your TMNT figures many moons ago. Well, they can be thrown in succession to slice and dice the many freaks and geeks that rummage these streets. They're okay, I guess, but what you really want to find down in those murky waters is the triple shot. You don't come across them too often, but when you do, it's like upgrading that little pea shooter in Contra to the ever so nasty spread shot. Only instead of firing those giant red paintballs, you're delivering a fury of 5-star chops to the head. There's also the boomerang that can be thrown in succession for some back and forth banter, quickly catching a pack of sewer rats off guard. There's also turtle-themed icons that put you in your cowabunga feels, granting you temporary invincibility as you climb back into your shell, plowing through a horde of enemies like a green wrecking ball. Yet the holy grail of pickups is none other than the scroll. These will show up towards the second half of the game, so when they do, be sure to stack up as much as you can. These are your meal ticket to victory, and are exceptionally beneficial for your turtles with short-range attacks. The scroll sends a crescent-shaped wave across the screen, eliminating anything that comes in contact with it. It's by far your strongest sub-weapon, and one that will be crucial for a very specific hallway that we'll get to. If these radical sub-weapons just don't cut it, and you're still finding yourself in a world of trouble, there's plenty of pizzas scattered throughout the world that will restore your health. Here, you can order pizza by the slice, which recovers 2 bars of health, or chow down on a half, or better yet, even a whole ass pie if needed. You can also leave an area and re-enter, discovering another cheesy offering ready to be served up. So for those with the constant complaints, I ask you, is it really that unfair, or did someone place that worm in your ear? With April in the clutches of the Foot Clan, the Turtles must take to the streets as this adventure steamrolls in, quite literally. There's plenty of sewers around the city, utilized for export, so the chances of a ravishing reporter just popping up is quite slim. The sewers are overrun with Baxter's Mousers, now chomping at the bit to rip you to pieces. Foot soldiers lurk close by, slithering about the sewers as if this radioactive sewage has gotten the best of them. The manholes scattered across each stage are your primary access points to the underground, made up of interconnected systems which will need to be memorized in order to progress. As you travel across them, you soon realize how integral your inventory really is, as the inhabitants below move in waves with very unorthodox patterns. It's easy to get locked down by them as they quickly respawn if not careful, creating the illusion of an underground infestation. However, with the right equipment, you can clear these sewers with ease. The game sort of throws you right into the line of fire, so you're gonna need to adapt quickly as Bebop and Rocksteady await close by. As you continue your journey below, you're quickly blindsided by Bebop, rushing in headfirst to knock you in the next week. He charges back and forth, pausing momentarily for a quick scrapping. Here, you can drive your blade, or bow, directly down atop his noggin, evading each flurry of punches till you execute a fatal blow. Putting this warthog away early leaves Rocksteady retreating with April uptown, where you now must follow in pursuit. As you continue trekking through these sewers, the enemies get more and more aggressive. I'm not sure if the waste runoff is polluting the water system, but you got some real ones dwelling in these parts. You got hobos with chainsaws high as a kite, dudes performing fellatio on themselves, and dudes with pyro setting the sewers on fire looking to make a name for themselves. There's warehouses around the city that house more of the crazies. There's these Jeepers Creepers-esque daddy longlegs looking to scoop you up, while Dorito bandits rummage the halls, running up on you like y'all boys go way back. Many of these warehouses and tunnels may lead to dead ends. However, why I find they're worth a visit is the assortment of sub-weapons and personal pan pizzas hidden inside that replenish your health while stacking up your inventory going into the later half of the stage. You eventually get tipped off to Rocksteady's location, now residing in a local warehouse. He will drop in for a surprise attack, looking to make short change of our green machines. He can easily rack up a large amount of damage in a short amount of time, firing off his machine gun head first with a supercharged tackle. Pivot back and forth with your best turtle equipped for the job. With enough distance, you can stagger the brute long enough to put him away. And yes, I could absolutely be a cheap bitch and strike him down with Donnie, but what fun is that, unless that is, you can't beat him straight up. As the turtles reunite with April, they quickly discover the Foot are now planning to destroy the local dam. You will need to climb to the very top in order to find access. This will require you to maneuver across some tight platforming segments inside the interior. You'll be hot-footing it across the many steel support beams, climbing higher till you reach the upper hatches. Eventually, you'll be taking a dip down into the river below, now tasked with disarming the many explosives that are scheduled to go off at any moment now. No pressure, guys. We only have a little over 2 minutes to disarm them. Everything at the sea floor is shocking to the touch, right down to the beautiful fluorescent seaweed that will pull you down below. This underwater segment is the infamous make or break point for many first timers. I would love to say there's a simple strategy here, but a good portion of this is trial and error, optimizing your route of travel while learning where each explosive is located beneath. The biggest challenge many face is the electrical algae fields that will shell shock our turtles to the core. It zaps your health in rapid succession, so if you don't switch your turtle in timely fashion, you aren't pulling this off. I've learned many different strats over the years. Some players even swim directly to the ending point first and work their way back, losing a turtle or two. It's entirely up to you when it comes to the approach, but it's absolutely doable, and after years of experimenting, I can navigate through on one turtle alone. It's just gonna take time to memorize. Saving the dam distracts the turtles long enough for Shredder to make a move on a now vulnerable Splinter. As the turtles arrive home from a hard day on the job, they arrive to a ransacked bachelor pad with a TV set to the Shredder, now addressing the turtles with his latest demands. He proceeds to throw out a challenge. Meet the Foot Clan in downtown Wall Street for a showdown across the rooftops. The turtles put the pedal to the metal in the party wagon, speeding across the city streets, busting down doors and whooping ass to get answers. The stage is chock full of foot dozers and barricades to throw you off the Shredder's scent. You go into Dick Tracy mode here, going from building to building, busting some fiendish foot, and taking names. It's vital to locate key items buried within these buildings to further progress. Missiles will be required to blast through the highway barricades, blocking the roads ahead, while ropes will be acquired for those tightrope segments across each rooftop. This is one of the most creative stages by far, and something I wouldn't really appreciate from a game series until years later. It's really remarkable how Konami managed to incorporate in this sense of open-ended exploration across many of their early works on the NES. With some detective work, you locate the correct rooftop where Splinter is being held captive by a mysterious turtle doppelganger. Is it Slash? No, not quite. Whatever this thing is, it replicates the movement pattern of whichever turtle you have selected, indicating this baby is some sort of advanced robotics. With enough damage, he sheds his skin, revealing an endoskeleton beneath, now hovering about, slashing away at our turtles. He will innately begin launching a variety of projectiles from his center torso. Remember when I mentioned to stock up on those lovely scrolls? Well, they will save you some time here, slicing right through this metallic tin head like butter. With Splinter rescued, there's only one thing left to do. Follow that chopper, as Shredder looks to make his grand escape back to the Technodrome for a climactic showdown. Reaching the old Chrome Dome won't be an easy one. We gotta now journey to the airport where the turtle blimp awaits. These runways will test your knowledge thus far. Each segment houses a different terminal, connected by an underground system. We now venture below once more, following along the order of numerical passage that leads us throughout. These underground structures have been overrun with foot infantry conducting some illegal activities. These segments are like the precursor to those dreaded Kaizo Mario games. Each section is covered in conveyor belts and death traps that are gonna put your patience to the test. It's not just maneuvering across them that's a bitch, it's the constant directional switching of the belts combined with the many armed turrets that fire about. To make matters worse, the real freaks come out at night, hopping around like they're on that good purple stuff, just twerking it up all over the damn place. The walls around you will also give chase, lining the room with spikes, and what's this, a pizza? Yeah, pizza, in hopes that you will be gullible enough to go for it. It's here the stage goes off the rails, and you can easily be done with this game if you're easily rage baited. Fear not, there's light at the end of the tunnel, with full boxes of pizza to replenish your health. In the event your turtle bites the big one, you're still able to recover him. Yeah, turns out he's okay after all, wounded and tied up in a specific location where you can ultimately rescue him. As you find your way to your terminal, the entrance is blocked by a massive mouser. This is the mother of all mousers too, spitting out some hatchlings like a good Mega Man baddie. The battle is merely a reward for the shit show you just went through. Standing front and center of this beast will find you shutting its trap before it can even manage to open it, blowing its head clean off. Taking back the airport, we board the turtle blimp, soaring high into the skies, looking to locate the Foot Clan's new base of operations. Waiting till nightfall, the turtles sneak into the Foot's not-so-highly surveillance campground, filled with enemy planes sniffing out intruders. The goal is to locate the access point of the Technodrome. The only problem, though, is that it's constantly on the move, changing with each playthrough taken. You will quickly discover the portal to Dimension X is wide open here, as the creatures that dwell in these parts aren't anything like what you've witnessed before. These creatures are extremely difficult, and you will need to have enough firepower stacked up to clear a path ahead. The issue with NES Turtles is that backtracking constantly punishes the player, as spawn rates will continue to multiply. If you hesitate, you're gonna sink quick. If you don't manage to find the Technodrome on your first attempt, try making a pit stop in the nearby warehouses. They house pizza to restore your turtle's health. If you manage to locate the Technodrome, you gotta be in it to win it. As it rolls on in, duck below to clear the electrical generator mounted along the front frame. Sneaking on past it will find you battling across the steel frame, evading the dual turrets mounted along the dome, while foot infantry deploy from the interior hatches. Dismantle the mounted turrets as soon as possible, giving you a clear shot to take out the eye. As it opens momentarily, clear each wave of foot infantry, then go back on offense. Slash away repeatedly, and in time, you will blow a hole in the top where you can now descend inside, where Shredder awaits, deep within the control center. The inside of the Technodrome is no joke. It's every bit as menacing as you imagined, especially if you spawn the wrong enemy cycle. The Technodrome is made up of 3 security sectors, which will need to be breached to reach the center. Each section has a unique scenario that presents, filled with tight corridors that find you backtracking from several dead ends, often leaving you cornered by a wave of mutations. There's a few ways to travel each segment, but ultimately, you need to take the most efficient route to preserve your health, as each area is laced with traps. Wall turrets track your motion to pick you off, and enemies will deal far greater damage the deeper you venture, so don't slip up. The final section of the Technodrome is the notorious Hallway of Hell, lined with rocket men that are by far the strongest enemies. They hover about, eviscerating you with each particle wave fired. This is where our scrolls will quickly come in handy. The trick I discovered is pushing them back while firing off your scrolls. If you can time each jump with perfect upwards trajectory, you can trigger them to fall back long enough to despawn them off screen. This is the best strat I managed to pull off to clear a path ahead. As you continue pushing forward, this hallway becomes more and more narrow till you have marginal room for error, eventually leading you to a final confrontation with Shredder. As you enter the control room, a ray of light strikes the chamber, as Shredder now materializes, revealing his latest weapon of war, the Transformer Gun. Shredder's large stature towers over you, with his primary attack being his transformation gun. Yep, that's right. He isn't planning to use any swordplay here, or even take a subtle swipe with those steel claws. That's when you soon realize Shredder didn't plan for this fight, whooping that ass all around the center of the Technodrome. He quickly succumbs to the punishment, bursting into flames with his transformation gun in hand. With Shredder's devices destroyed, the curse placed upon Splinter is lifted, transforming our sensei back into his youthful human state. Not sure if this is the same Hamato Yoshi of old, or how the Turtles even managed to pull this one off, but rest assured, the day is saved, and with it comes a celebration the only way we know how, with a cheesy, fresh pizza right out the oven. The NES release of TMNT was quite ambitious for its time. The series was just kicking off, yet Konami managed to take the very best from its early works and piece together a worthy franchise first, allowing players to take full advantage of our heroes in a half-shell for the very first time. Konami capitalized on the moment, utilizing this all-new Nintendo Entertainment System to its fullest. Each stage presented fans with unique gameplay mechanics, along with a wide assortment of cleverly crafted sub-weapons to further complement each of our 4 turtle strengths. Whether or not plans were in place for this title prior to the adaptation of the TMNT license, it doesn't take away from the brilliance in the underlying framework. The Turtles adopted to each new setting as if it was indeed their own, discovering a slew of new mutant populations. Although these creations are a tad unorthodox in the grand scheme of things, the body of work that surrounds them gives these renditions of the Turtles and their cast a unique style. A major reason the Turtles continue to find relevancy is through the many renditions of our heroes throughout the years, allowing each generation of fan to find new ways to identify with their favorite turtle. These reimagined enemies and environments had just that, and although these designs are of Konami's own craft, I would love to see them return in some fashion. Except for these assholes, they can stay the hell in Dimension X. The learning curve here is beyond fair, with an exceptional amount of item pickups and personal pan pizzas to keep you chugging along. That is, if you take the time and search them out, rewarding you for exploration, not just giving handouts. The entire adventure is filled with tiny episodic moments, captured through tiny cutscenes and unique scenarios that constantly switches up the playstyles, keeping you on your turtle toes until the very end, deep inside the Technodrome. I encourage anyone jaded by this as a kid to pick it up and give it another go. I think with some patience, you will find that there is a great deal of substance buried within. It's putting the time and effort into it that will find you truly appreciating it by the end. With our very first turtle adventure coming to a close, it's time to really kick things up a notch. And what better way than to take a trip back to the arcade scene, cashing in some of that recent hard-earned dough for a handful of tokens, looking for a taste of that all-new smash hit everyone's raving about. None other than TMNT, the arcade game. See you there, gang.